right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We're not going to take up too much time this evening, but we do want to give you all some very valuable information. We have some phenomenal guest speakers tonight. I'm going to introduce myself, and then we're going to go ahead and dive right on in. My name is Asha White. I go by Asha Duree. I am a luxury brand and event designer. I coordinate galas. I coordinate a lot of different nonprofit events. But right now, I'm focusing more on providing events that help business owners and entrepreneurs. So we have events like this, where we have everyone come on board and listen to valuable information as a business owner. And there will be many, many more free webinars such as this and various topics related to business as the year goes on. So please be sure to connect with us at the end of the presentation. We will send out a link to where you can put in your contact information. You can connect with other people who are on the webinar today. But this is really a nice way for you all to get valuable information and also network. So again, when you see the link drop in the chat box, please be sure to include your information. We do want to stay in contact with you. I am going to go ahead and get ready to switch it over to our very first presenter, Whitney Morgan. He's going to dive in more on like business credit, how to get funding for your small business, and things of that nature. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Whitney so that he can introduce himself and go ahead and dive right on in. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Asha. And before we do anything, let's give you a hand and say thank you to you being our gracious host with the most. And, providing a platform for us to share financial literacy and some financial knowledge that we can all benefit from. My name is Whitney Morgan. I'm the owner of Empowerment Solutions. I'm a credit coach, business credit coach. And my main objective is to help people get out of the debts that they may be in, utilize other people's OPM in terms of that's what credit is. It's other people's money, and how can you utilize that to purchase a home, to purchase a car, to purchase real estate, whatever it may be. So quickly, let's get into business credit, which many of us may or may not have heard of. Put a 1 in the chat if you've heard of business credit. Put a 2 in the chat if you haven't, just to get the idea on the room. Some people may have heard of it, some people may have not, but it's very important. And the reason business credit is important is because we want to be able to separate ourselves from our personal credit. How many people out there know a small business owner, or you maybe yourself, where maybe we utilize our personal funds or our personal credit to support the business, and that's not sustainable. It may last for a while, but we got to get that business in position to support itself, so to speak. And that's what business credit does. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Asha, give me a thumbs up if you can see. Okay, great. So Asha gave me 20 minutes, so we're gonna make it count, right? So business credit. How to get business credit for your EIN. So as soon as I said business credit, a lot of you guys probably assumed, I was talking about utilizing your personal credit, or that's when you put your social security number in the application, and they're making you a personal guarantor on that application. But you can establish business credit in your EIN number that is separate from your personal credit. So business credit essentially is credit that is obtained in your business's name. So your business is no different than you or I. Your business can have a phone number or email address, so many different things that your business can have. Financially, your business can have a credit score. And in some cases, our business may have better credit than us, right? Which is perfectly fine, because if you're the owner of the business, then you can control the movement of that business. And business credit is essentially based on the business's ability to pay. So we'll go into that later, but it's not incorporating the many factors that many of us are familiar with on the personal credit side. It really just is about that score. So why is business credit so awesome? Well, it allows you to double your borrowing ability, like I mentioned, leveraging other people's money. So now you as a financial entity, and then your business as a financial entity can both, borrow money and utilize credit to the best of your ability. It makes you more lendable when you have business credit that you can leverage, instead of just only having the ability to get credit based on your personal credit score. Now your business can offset, or in some cases, you can have a hybrid application where your business is applying and you are applying together. your business is like your guarantor, right? In many cases, if you apply for a car and you and your wife applied and you guys can go on a joint application for certain types of credit. And there's a secret set of criteria, right? So there's a secret set of criteria, excuse me, let me get out of that. Okay, so secret set of criteria that we all have to recognize when it comes to business credit, and it's called fundability. Fundability is what you need to be concerned with in terms of your business. So as I mentioned, getting business credit, establishing your EIN, not your SSN, and allows you this fast establishment of personal credit score, not personal, but credit profile and score in your business's name once again. I mentioned the Paydex score. So one easy thing to remember, if you don't get anything else from this presentation, is that personal credit, obviously that goes from 350 to 850, but business credit goes to 0 to 100, which is a little more easier to explain or to understand. So obviously 0 to 49 isn't very good. That means you probably have had some business credit, but you didn't pay those on time. Medium risk is that you're kind of risky. Maybe you missed a couple payments, but overall you're okay. And then low risk is 80 to 100. That's where you want to be. You want a potential bank or lender to see your business as financially stable, excuse me, as financial stable. So you want your business to looking on the application that they can rely that you actually can, be risk-free, because credit is all about risk. Credit is all about measuring your risk as an individual, as a business, what have you. Do you have the ability to pay that account back, that credit card back, that loan back, whatever type of credit that you have? That's what they're measuring. So we all should be familiar with this. If not, then we should definitely take this away from the call as well. So personal credit. So as I was mentioning with business credit, it really only matters about the Paydex score, but personal credit, your payment history, how often you pay credit back on time is very important. That's 35% of your credit score. Your credit card utilization, how much debt do you have on your credit cards? That definitely is very important. So that's one thing to note as well. On the personal credit side, the more debt that you have on your personal credit cards, your scores are going to go down. So if you have a $1,000 credit card and you have $995 on there, that means you're utilizing the majority of your debt, and the banks or lenders or the credit bureaus are going to frown upon that. They're going to look down upon that because you're using the majority of the credit that you have available to you. Length of credit history is very important. So the earlier, the better. If you guys have children, you guys on the line, or if you're young yourself, you want to establish credit as soon as possible, even if it's just becoming an authorized user on your parents' credit card. And if you are a parent, know that you don't have to give them an actual credit card, right? You can add them as an authorized user and then benefit from how you've been using that credit card. They never even touched the credit card, and now they have established credit history at an early age. It depends on the credit card company. Some of them, they allow you to do it as early as 12 years old, 15, 18. You have to check with your credit card company, but they do allow you to add children as authorized users. And so that when they go into the situation of applying for an apartment or their very own first car, they're not doing like me and my wife having, 25% APR on a car because we didn't have any credit history. And then our parents are looking at us like, hey, we had to go through it, right? So that's why we're in the business that we're in, so we can help people, make better decisions for themselves and their family moving forward, so that we don't have to bear the burden of the generation before us. Accumulation of new credit is very important. So how often are you applying for new credit? Many of us probably know that if you just keep applying over and over again, your score is just going to keep going down. So if you're getting denied for a loan or application over and over again, you probably should take a step back, review your credit report, maybe get with a professional, maybe utilize some DIY software, what have you, to see what needs to be fixed on your credit before you just keep applying again and denied over and over again. And then having a good credit mix is always important as well. Credit cards, personal loans, mortgage loans, any type of student loans. A lot of people assume that student loans are bad only if they're in collections or if they have a bunch of late payments on them. But in many cases, a lot of people, their student loans are helping them because they're one of the first instances of credit when they were 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. So their student loans could be, 6, 7, 8 years old and actually carrying their credit score at this point. So that was a quick overview on personal credit, but business credit is very important and is very vital. especially for startups, because when you talk to a traditional banker lender, they're going to have a lot of requirements. You know, they're going to have a lot of paper documentation that you have to turn in with good reason, right? Because once again, they're lending you money. They're measuring your risk as a lender. So they want to see if you have the ability to pay back whatever they're lending you. But when business credit, there's no time and business requirements. That's what TIB stands for. So the way we build business credit, there's no time in business. You don't have to be in business 3, 4, 5 years to get it. When you apply online, a lot of the cases that is the case. When you just go on Google and try to establish business credit, you know, they may have a time and business requirement. No cash flow requirements, no bank statements, no tax returns. Competitive advantage, because we know within 5 years, at least 50% of businesses fail. And I think within 9 years, I think it's 75% of businesses fail. And a lot of that is because of, not because if you own a lawn care business, you can't mow the lawn, or if you own a concrete company that you can't lay concrete. It's because of the accounting, the bookkeeping, you know, the funding behind the scenes, the actual managerial, the business ownership aspects of the business. A lot of people have catering business, you know, restaurant, they can cook, they can do all that stuff, but you know, the financial literacy. And that's why myself and the two extra, the gentleman and the lady who are going to speak are going to talk about what we're talking about, because that aspect, the financial aspect, is what sets businesses apart from each other. No collateral requirements. So we won't ask you to put up your car or your home to establish business credit. It's much easier to grow a business when your business is self-sustainable. So your business is financially stable on its own, and it's not relying on you and your job, right? So you're able to get credit much faster using your business credit profile versus your personal credit profile. So every successful business in America has business credit. You want to know who? For example, Walmart, right? So every time we walk into Walmart, and the great thing about business credit is you don't have to listen to the guy speaking to you right now on the screen. You can search business credit for any business. It's public information. So if you don't believe me, after this call, go search Walmart business credit lines, and you'll see they'll have over 500 business credit trade lines on Experian alone. So if you realize that on the business credit side, there's Experian, Equifax, and Dun & Bradstreet. And then on the personal credit side, you have TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. So by each bureau, they have at least 500 credit trade lines reporting. And so they sell to us, you and I, when we go into Walmart and we get a Sprite off the counter, you know, they more than likely bought that Sprite on business credit. And then me and you as the consumer, we pay for it at the cashier, and then they use that money to pay themselves back to get more products and services on business credit, right? So it's very smart, but you don't have to be Walmart to do that, right? You don't have to be a big business. You don't have to be a Forbes 500 company to utilize business credit. Anybody on this call, if you are a business owner or looking to become a business owner, can build business credit in your EIN number. So how do you build it? Like, again, once again, fundability. If you guys don't get anything from this call, definitely learn about fundability. Once again, it's your business's ability to get funding, and that's the first step that we do in our business credit program. Is we analyze your business and see where you are. You know, would you be able to walk into a bank right now to be able to get funding? If not, we have to build your fundability first, because when you're done with the program, you will be able to walk into a traditional bank or lender and get additional credit as well. As we already mentioned, you know, most businesses fail within the first 5 years, and we want to make sure that you're fundable. So make sure your business is set up credibly. Once again, they want a traditional bank or lender. They want to make sure that you are risk-free, that you are a reputable business, and that you are, you know, you're financially stable. So you have to make sure that your business is set up correctly. If you don't have your entity, if you've been, you know, doing hair out of your basement, cutting people's cutting hair in the basement, whatever, that's fine. You're honing your skills, but go ahead and get registered with the Secretary of State, whether that's Kansas, Missouri, or wherever you are. Generally, there's a small fee, depending on the state. But if you are truly serious about becoming a business, go ahead and get your entity. Your business address. So there's various options you can have. You don't have to have an actual storefront to have a business address. You can get a business virtual address from Staples, or there's a lot of different options. You can get a virtual address, And another reason that's important is because, like I said, your business's information is public. Just like we go to Google and we search, Pizza Hut and the address pops up. If you're a business, your address is going to pop up. So you want to have a buffer in between, your home address and your business address, because many of us utilize our business out of our homes in some cases. So you don't want to have your home address on the internet that is searchable, right? So get an address that you can kind of buffer that off, a virtual address. Usually, in most cases, it's about $9.99 per address, and that's very sustainable for a business. Your phone number, banks and lenders frown upon having a cell phone number as your main go-to number. So you can get a corporate number or a business line of Google Voice. There's so many easy options you can get, and you can still have the phone calls come to your cell phone, but now you have an actual business phone line. And so how cool would that be to be able to have, the elevator music and things like that when people call you for your business, and it's really just calling to your cell phone. But once again, it's just another example of your business being a legitimate business. NAICS codes. So if you don't know what NAICS codes are, these are basically the scope of work of your business. What does your business do, right? So we need to know your NAICS code. So that, once again, that's an easy Google search. If you do photography, what is the NAICS code for photography, right? If you do media, if you do social media, if you do, business development, things like that, some of the stuff that Asha does, you got to know your NAICS codes for that, because when you're putting on the application, they're going to go off your NAICS code, not what you say you do, not in a word form. They're going to go off those codes. Email and website, guys, we got to get away from the @Yahoo and @Gmails. I'm sorry, we got to get to the @Asha White, right? If it's Asha White, et cetera, we have to get your name or info, right? Or support at whatever your business's name. It's so many business credit applications or funding applications get denied because of these simple factors, right? So we got to get a legitimate email. We have to buy our domain name for whatever our business is. Make sure we have a domain name that matches, and then we can get an email address at that domain name. It's only going to help you in the future. Depending on what your business is, you definitely want to get those certifications and licenses if they do exist in your field. Once again, it just makes you look better as a reputable business. Congruency. So you want to have your business listed with the same information, right? So if you go through the motions of establishing that business phone number, business email, business address, you want to have that information listed on all over the internet. Because in the past, right, it used to be the 411, the yellow pages, etc. They have online versions of those, but you want to have your business all over the internet. So when you search photography or whatever you're searching for, obviously you want to be on the first page of Google, ideally, because nobody goes to page 5, page 6. That's the dungeon of the internet. Nobody goes that far. So you want to be on the second page of the search results so that people can find you. Once again, if you don't have an EIN number, that's one of the first steps. Go to irs.gov, get your EIN number. That is the equivalent to your business as you as a human, your social security number. So your business's EIN number is the equivalent to that. Business bank account. This is another one of the first things that you want to do. I talk to my mortgage friends. They say and my lending friends, they say that they don't really look at you as a legitimate business until you have a business bank account. You don't want to be commingling funds. You don't want to be in a position where you're using your personal account for business and personal transactions, and your CPA, your bookkeeper, whoever, and they're trying to find, the transactions for your business, the expenses for your business. You don't want to be in that position. So you want to get separate accounts and use them separately to make everybody happy, all the professionals that you may use in terms of the CPAs. Get set up with the business credit bureaus, like I mentioned, Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, Equifax. You can get a free DUNS number on Dun & Bradstreet. So that's something else that you can do right after the call. It costs you nothing to get a Dun & Bradstreet number. So this is a quick overview of how some of the business credit program goes. Asha, I'm going fast. So vendor credit. So there's plenty of vendor credit accounts online that you can get. Uline, Quill, Vistaprint are some examples, Granger. So these are online vendors. If I'm an online vendor and Asha's applying, but Asha doesn't have any business credit established, we will give her vendor credit with our site so she can buy something off of our site. But then that's when you get your net 15s, your net 30, net 60 accounts, if you've heard of those. That number is really just the amount of time you have to pay. So if Asha buys something from us for $150, that means she has 30 days to pay that full $150. So it's different than a credit card, right? A credit card, you can spend $150, but then you may only owe $30 by that due date. But with vendor credit, you're going to owe the full amount within that net 30. But it's necessary evil to actually establish business credit if you don't have any. So yeah, I pretty much went over everything before. So you need about 3 or 4 different vendor accounts to start. That'll give you a good equilibrium on your business credit accounts. And you always want to buy using credit instead of cash as you establish those accounts, because you get credit when you use credit, right? You don't get cash rewards. You don't get travel perks. You don't get any of these things when you just use cash or a debit card. So when you get advanced in the credit realm, using credit cards isn't a bad thing. Most people assume the credit cards are bad, they're the devil. Not the tool itself. It may be user error in some cases, and we have to, get that financial literacy so we can use credit to our advantage, because that's the whole reason I'm in the credit industry, is because many of us have a misunderstanding of credit, or we have a bad relationship with credit. But once we get to the other side of credit, it's a beautiful thing, right? So make sure you're paying those bills on time. It looks like I went kind of fast, but the biggest thing in terms of building business credit is you start off with those vendor accounts, then you get some charge cards. Maybe you get a commercial account with Home Depot, Lowe's, places like that, Costco, Sam's Club, wherever you shop for your business. You want to get a commercial account with them. Then you're in position to get gas cards, fleet cards for your business. So I have people who are truckers. They love that. I have people who do Turo, right? They rent their cars out to other people and they use gas cards for that. Even if you're a real estate agent and you're driving to open houses and things like that, now you can use business credit gas cards to cover that instead of your actual own money. And then that's another receipt or another invoice that you can use for your tax purposes and things like that. And then the 4th step is getting to the best step, which is cash credit cards, where you can utilize those for payroll, real estate. You can purchase vehicles in your business's name. You can purchase I mentioned real estate in your business's name. So there's a lot of things you can do once you have actually established business credit in your business's name. Now your business is its own financial resource. It supports itself. You'll be in position to qualify for funding. Then your business congruency, your fundability will be in much better shape, and you'll be able to qualify with the banks and lenders. And then you'll be able to separate yourself from your business, because ultimately that's what you want to do. That's why you created that LLC or what have you. You want to separate yourself from your business so your business can stand on its own. And the last point is that when your business establishes business credit, that travels with the business. So most business owners know the whole point or the whole objective of starting a business is to eventually sell it, ideally. So if you want to sell your business at some point, if you establish business credit in that business's name, it travels with the business. It's no different than establishing a pool or redeveloping your kitchen when you buy a home. It just adds value to the business. So that's my time. Thank you so much, Asha, for the platform. And hopefully you guys got some value from what I just shared. And yeah, a little bit more than 20 minutes, but sorry, Asha.
No worries. Well, if you all have any questions, please note at the end, we will